What that means is, let's say um, a baby, a baby in the womb is growing. So initially, you would have most of its organs being developed. It develops two eyes, a head, a brain, and all those things. But then when it comes to the maturation of these organs that have already been developed, you don't you don't necessarily get a bigger or a higher organ in the end. You just get some intricate designs, some very important instructions that the brain gives for that particular organ to be functional so that it can serve its purposes, but not necessarily you having a bigger brain in the end or a bigger head or whatsoever. So growth comes in different sects. You can have you just having bigger stuff. You can have you expanding your territories, and you can have your already established firms undergoing maturation. So your path, and this is where I would recommend. This is where I would recommend Dr. Jonathan's book, The Identity, Purpose, and Process. So this book gives you more than a foundation on building your path. So I would recommend that you read it. So those of us who have read this book may have an upper hand, so to say. So should everyone be doing it? So these are a number of questions I've posed here. Should everyone be doing it? So that's to say your purpose. Should you find your purpose? And does this come so easily? And would so these are some questions you can entertain whilst you get on your these are some questions you can entertain as you embark on this journey. And another thing you can consider is, would whatever decision you are making make your community better? So should everyone be doing it? The answer is absolutely yes. And in as much as it's not going to come easy, you still have to embark on it and also consider the fact that if it's going to benefit your community, your environment, whatever state you find yourself in. And um, sorry. Yes. So so I would also be making a few references from the Bible. I mean, it's not just a religious book. It's been shown to withstand ages, and also it's quite a credible book to be quoted from. So should everyone be doing it? So let me just give this short account. So um most of the innovations we have now were made as a result of um challenges that were posed to us. So like in the world wars, most of the innovations that we had were more like tailored towards finding better ways to eliminate the opponent. So that's how come a lot of people produced weapons, vehicles, and all of those stuff. So growth and then finding your path doesn't necessarily come to you in very convenient environments. And it is something you have to pursue. It's not an option. You can't just exist without performing a particular task. So, like I said, I'll be making a reference from the Bible. So the Bible states that every organ in your body was made for a particular task, and in as much as the the organ is given a task that makes it look like it's standing on its own, it's still towards the perfect functioning of the whole human body. So you would have your eye supposedly just seeing. Okay, so just seeing, but then in the end, it creates a coordination between your brain and your balance and all other sort of things. So you don't just see images and that's the end of it. It goes a long way to make sure you can walk, you can identify stuff, you can appreciate your worldview. So in moving forward, you would also have to acknowledge that your family helps you a lot. So that's to say, first of all, you didn't decide that you wanted to come into this world of ours. Okay. You didn't have a say in which primary school you went to. Um, like you were just ushered into a lot of these very crucial stages in your life. And supposing that your parents messed up with the decisions that they took on your behalf, it means you are going to struggle a bit. You're going to find a harder road in trying to find your own purpose. Okay. So that goes to say all these roles that your family have played on your behalf, in the end, support you in a way. It gives you an essence because um some of you your courses that you're doing right now, they were chosen by your parents. They were suggested. They were saying, oh, like just do this course, and you're like, oh, okay. They just heard your parents say, and that was enough for you to embark on that particular purpose. Okay. So you can still hold on to this purpose even if you hate it. Okay. So it doesn't have to be pleasant all the time. It doesn't have to make you feel good. You just need to have this sense of fulfilling a particular task. That in the end helps you yourself, helps those around you, and then the world, your world at large. So, like I said, your growth is towards the execution of a particular task. You don't just grow because you want to. So we don't eat because you just feel like eating. Okay, so we your body needs the food. That is why you're eating. And because of that, because of the energy that your body receives, it's expected to perform certain tasks through your day. So you don't like just sadly we find people eating and not doing anything. So their sense of this worldview is your body prompts you that you're hungry. And so you just eat and that's the end. They've not had the view that their path goes beyond just executing that small task in that contributes to them having that growth that they want. And so you you have to give pointers to who you are. You have to give pointers to who you are. And that's to say, we would people would analyze the amount of information that you are exuding with the actions, everyday actions that you take. And you would draw a conclusion that you are embarking on this particular task. But then that doesn't really define who you are. You have to be conscious of which actions you point us to so that we can accurately present opportunities in that wise. So let's say you are learning or you have a vision that you would set up uh, a clothing line. Okay, so you have this as your vision. And throughout your life, you've never mentioned this to anyone. Nothing about your life shows or proves you even have this as one of your principal goals. All you present to people is maybe probably football, how to cook, and all other things that have nothing to do with your principal goal. In as much as I'm not saying you just need one particular goal, no. But then you need to structure your goals to know which ones need to be principal, and then which kind of efforts you need to allocate to that particular task that you need to um, execute eventually. I mean, ultimately. So one of the things that would help you um, give pointers to who you are is this theory. Um, it's a general worldview. That's why I'm using a theory, but it's actually a true statement. So some people believe there is an intelligent mind that orchestrated the whole universe. Okay, so um the theory of the an intelligent designer. Okay, so it shows that every building has who made it, has the builder, and every other thing has um a creator. Okay, but then others also believe um we are a product of chance. Um, in the beginning, there was nothing, and then nothing began some chemical reactions, and then boom, we randomly fell into pieces. So if you are one of those thinkers with the nothing created everything, I would say I'm very sorry for you, and we'll be praying for you. And just something by the way, the human body is so, I mean, you are so intricately designed such that you were created for a particular purpose. There's no way, like I mentioned initially, you every organ has been created to perform a particular task, a specific task, but then it doesn't stand out on its own. As in, it doesn't operate independently of the other organs. So the fact that we believe in an intelligent mind, in an intelligent designer, having you fashioned the way you are means, and then you being placed in this universe means you have something to do in this universe. It shows how much how valuable you are, because you are more important than a cow. The if we were just randomly positioned in this universe, it means we would have um human barbecues and human products that we are supposed to be consuming, but it's not so. This particular purpose that has been ascribed to each and every one of us gives us our essence, gives us our value. It shows us how important we are to this universe. So aside you believing in this um, theory, if this theory was to be false, there would be nothing wrong with just um, killing your fellow human being for food. Nothing wrong with there would be no difference between you and a chicken that you consume every Christmas. There'll be no difference. But then this theory of an intelligent designer gives you your core value as a human being, and that you have a particular purpose to execute in your environment, and that you can't be wasted just anyhow. You can't. No one has the right to end your life without allowing you to execute that purpose that you've been sent here to perform. So now, how do we shape our path? So what we must acknowledge here is that something else grows when you are not intentional about this. Okay, something else grows when you are not intentional about this. So A very relatable scenario is when you farm, let's say you grow some maize crops, and you don't care what grows beneath it. Eventually, you'd have a lot of unnecessary weeds that are um, drawing nutrients in that space that you have your maize crops, and you wouldn't have the best yield from your maize. So, in as much as you may claim that you don't care about whatever is happening around you, it doesn't mean it's not influencing your decisions. So there are certain people and environments where you find yourselves. So your social media and all this stuff, they influence your life in a seamless way that you could ever imagine. So that's to say, let's say you get exposed, like I gave a scenario of you wanting to establish a clothing line, and all your feeds, all your what you're exposed to has nothing to do with this clothing line, this vision that you've set for yourself. What that means is you limit the amount of challenges that are posed to your path, and you your brain is not fashioned in a way to just get up on its own and then start doing extraordinary stuff. No, it never works that way. It initially collects whatever information you have been exposed to, analyzes it, chooses which challenges it can battle in the interim, and then help you to develop these innovative thinking. And so if all you do is you are running away from what you are supposed to achieve, um, just because probably it's too big in your eyes or anything of that sort. You just limit the kind of response your brain your brain helps you to fashion to to attack that particular vision that you have. And so in posing these challenges, you also need to consider that um, consistency matters and you have to be realistic. Okay. So if you want to um, be a Hollywood actor, then that's your goal in life. Like you want to, but then you haven't sat down to count the cost. So the Bible says, um, a man who is it that starts a building, like you just start the building and you get to a level and you realize you are facing some very serious challenges, and then that is when you come back to note down how much went into the foundation, how much went into workmanship, and then how much you need for your roofing and your finishing and all this stuff. It doesn't make sense. Okay, so whenever you start a building that way abruptly without counting, sitting down to count the costs that actually go into this, it means you you are bound to fail. There's no way you can finish a building like that. So you need to consider whether you have the particular vision you have set is a short or a long-term goal. So you want to set up a company um, of and you've proposed you'd be hiring 1,000 um, customers, I mean employees, and uh, compared to someone who wants to make a food product, let's say a soft drink. I mean, I don't mean to say a soft drink like that of these Coca-Cola companies, no. Like a soft drink you make in your house and then probably sell online or just in front of your house. So these are two separate goals altogether. You'd one has to draw a plan that has um very achievable goals. I mean, it's more like one has a lot of short-term goals in the long term, and then the other just needs just a few pushes to achieve what he wants to do. And that is where your mindset, your motivation, and then your methods come in. So you, like I said, if this mind, you have a kind of, there's this theory of the growth mindset where you acknowledge the particular stage in which you are, that you know that you're supposed to reach number 10, yet you acknowledge that you are on number two or just number one. But then what a lot of people do is they look at the weight of number 10 and then just conclude that the amount of work they are supposed to put into moving from 1 to 10. So that's a very huge jump from 1 to 10. So you don't consider um, number number two, moving from 1 to, let's say, 1.5 or 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. So they don't consider that. They just look at how am I going to move from 1 to 10 without any short jumps. And that's going to keep you grounded. So that's how come um we this is a very big issue in Africa where we we feel like we have to. So initially, so for those of you who were not around when we started, I mentioned that growth gives us a platform. So it enables each and everyone to attain a certain level of progress. So that doesn't mean you need a fellow to fail before you can get up there. Growth gives you a lot of room, and that's good. The chair of the growth mindset. It removes a limit from your current state and ensures that you have a lot of room, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. And so it leads you to forming complements. Okay, it leads you to forming teams, alliances, acquaintances. You don't see people as enemies, but you see them as um, assets that can help you achieve the goal that you want. So a lot of people don't achieve these short jumps, let's say from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and without the help of others. So that's to say you can find your path in the path of others. But that's not to say you have the same destination. So you may have your paths um having an intersection, okay. But then aside you having to discover that your path actually intersects with that of another, you might struggle, you might go a very long way before you realize that uh before you achieve a certain level of progress in your work. So you don't always have to start from one. Okay. You don't always have to start from zero. Some, like I mentioned, your family helps you. You didn't choose um which foods that was supposed to be given to you as a baby. Okay. So those all those levels were performed for those tasks were performed for you in your good. And it's counts whether in your personal growth as in your body, whether in your career, whether in your schools, all those things count. You have to keep it in mind that don't have to you always don't have to start from zero. Sometimes you start from someone has raised the bar to make, let's say, 4, and that's where you join in, and that 4 becomes your starting point. So that 4 gives you the challenge that you're supposed to give a tailored response to. So, speaking of that, you also have to reward your learning and then your progress, but not just the kind of efforts that you put into achieving your goal. So what the growth mindset also proposes is that. So these most of these theories have been scientifically proven. Okay, it's not like I we are just quoting theories and that's all. So the a study was done and some questions were posed to some students, a number of students. So a number of students in different institutions. And it was intentionally um, fashioned to be higher than their normal capabilities. And what was noticed was that some of the students just shut down at seeing the questions. They had no desire to even try. They had no desire to try in solving these solutions. And other students also acknowledged that these questions are a bit advanced, but then they notified the authorities that there should have been a prior announcement, as in they should have been informed that, oh, you are going to have a test that's a bit challenging. And another batch of students also sat down with the questions and then tried as much as possible to overcome those set of questions in that very moment. And so we noticed that two of these um, students had a mindset that no, this is my current level. And even though these questions are a bit challenging, they acknowledge that it was possible. Yes, so that's the word. It was possible to gain that feat. It was possible to go above the limits that they were used to. And so they rewarded the little progress that they had. So it wasn't just about just the efforts of putting in so much work. Um, yes, so this growth mindset theory tells you that you are capable of so much more. The problem with most of us is we just pity ourselves with looking at the kind of work that we have to put in. So we just hope that we would achieve a lot in convenience. Okay, but that's not the reality. Truth is, you need stress as a requirement to achieve most of your goals. So note, I'm not saying you need stress to achieve it. I'm saying you need stress to achieve most of your goals. So analyzing your goals and then seeing the kind of weight that it carries, you just know that convenience will make you achieve just a little of what you have envisioned. And that's the state that um uh, we have most of us have ourselves in. We 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 have achieved just a little of what we have envisioned. And you'd see that most of us have made a lot of resolutions over the past years, and it's we would attest to the fact that we've barely made progress. That's because you pity yourself for the kind of work that you think you have to put yourself through. And that means you need to allow yourself to be challenged. So I think most of um, these things would better be answered by you posing questions. So we would give you a space to ask your questions. I would just round up quickly so that you have the opportunity to ask questions. So you need to allow yourself to be challenged. Okay. So um so that you'd know the kind of solutions you can pose in that situation. So let's say you have a dream to be an or Olympic diver. So you want to dive at the Olympics. But then here's a case you have phobia for water. So that means you barely bath, you're afraid of water. That's fine. So you acknowledge that the or you performing at the Olympics is at the stage 10 when you are at one or you are at zero. So you can start by washing your face. So that's an achievable goal. So you don't just quit by saying you can't use water, but then you want to dive, and so that's out of the picture. No, you can start by performing the very little tasks that would push you closer towards the goal. And like I said, in spite of all these trying to um, allowing yourself to be challenged, it has to be tailored. So, like I said initially, if these challenges overwhelm your brain, overwhelm your whole system, it means you are going to shut down. And that's not what you are looking for. We are going to accept these challenges in doses, okay? So in calculated doses, so that you tackle them appropriately. So most of you have the vision to lead organizations, to start your firms and all that, but you've never taken up any role. You've never taken up any role whatsoever, whether in school, class captain, cry, when you be that, and that's a big issue. So you can start by accepting those roles, whether in your class, in those various organizations that you find yourself, whether at your workplace, and you need to accept that job. Let's say you you want to be a teacher and you've completed probably your first cycle of um, education, and nothing is pushing you to um, wanting to know uh, how much effort you would or what to expect generally. Okay, so that's a no-no. So if you want to be a teacher, it means at every point in your life you have um to be gearing towards things that would benefit your journey as a teacher. So most teachers would tell you their current job is not the first institution that they've taught in. They probably have taught in a lot of um, institutions, even when they hadn't gone into the gone through the proper um, schemes of being molded into a teacher. Okay, so if you want to be working in a firm that leads people, it means you need to start by um, taking up those simple rules that have been posed to you whatever environment that you find yourself. You need to probably accept that job offer that has been given to you, because it is most of us are just afraid of what pitfalls you might find when we take a step further. So be calculated in whatever journey you want to embark on. So if you want to be flying planes, you don't, because you are saying allow yourself to be challenged, you just get up and you hijack a plane and you just start flying. No, it doesn't um work that way. It has to be calculated. So there are simple doses of tasks that you have to perform to master before you move on to bigger tasks. And that's where you differentiate between your short-term and your long-term goals. With your long-term goals, having a lot of these short-term actions. And um, your associations matter a lot. Your associations matter. So, like I said, you would have someone working up his goal up to number four, but then fortunately for you, your paths cross at that number four. And um, for like I said, everyone has a particular, a definite path to this platform called good. So you intersect at this number four, and that becomes your starting point. So you carry on from that particular number four, riding on the shoulders of that other fellow. So that means you need to know how to copy. You need to know how to copy. And that's because humans have been, not just humans, creation has been made in a way to make duplicates of itself. Okay. So you don't necessarily create new um um what's the word? You don't create make new inventions. You just copy and then you update to your target audience. So it means you need to be comfortable with copying. It's not a bad thing to copy. But then with that being said, it's even more important to know your limits because like you having a definite path doesn't mean all of you have the same destination. So you copying to the extent that you end up in someone else's destination is a failure on your part. And so you need to know the limits that you've copied every step of this particular individual. But that was just, you need to keep it at the back of your mind that that was just to help you know where exactly you are supposed to glean towards. Okay. So you also have to get close to these people who push you towards you finding what you're supposed to do. And you need to define your goals so that you don't get restless with seeing other people's results. So as you've decided to do pair farming and your other fellow um grows maize. So you defining your goals means you don't get um agitated, you don't get restless because the maize farmer is having about two harvests in a year. Okay, so you knowing exactly what you want deters or saves you the stress of um having to be very troubled with the results of others. And you need to carve out your goals. Like you knowing that you want A, but then you intersect with someone else at C. So you know that your C is not your destination. It was just a helping hand that you got. Okay. So you don't also don't grow in isolation. And what that means is we know you want to work in the parliament one day, but you you don't exempt yourself from from these let's say class activities, um from extra curricular activities and all those things because in the end you are there in the parliament to solve issues that were posed to you in the previous environment that you were part of. So growing in isolation, um, zooming out on all other possibilities means you tend to have a one-sided view in your results, and that's going to limit your target audience. So you can also start by reading people. So that's just a chip of the copying bit. And you can start with books. If you can't read books, that's fine. Just start with quotes. Just acknowledge your state and then build on from there. And um, as we know it, the technology of books is one of the most outstanding inventions that has ever been known to man. And that's because these books bring you into the writer's world. Okay. So probably you've never met Dr. Jonathan. You've never even heard of his name. But then as you read his book, you get to see how this man is thinking, how this man is approaching his worldview, how he's suggesting certain things for you to also apply. So it brings you into his world, and then you get to also appreciate how he is tackling his issues, and then the kind of things that he has suggested for you to also try so that you can attain these goals that you want. So put it out there. So the purpose of you embarking on your goal is not to shine in isolation. It's not to shine in your room. It's to make it's to a particular target audience. Okay. So you need to put it out there to your audience. If you've started a venture where you could make sure that your audience is aware of what you're doing. And you need to fashion this goal, this goal that you have in a way that they can relate to. Okay. So if your target audience has no idea about what you are doing, then you are just beating about in the air. They can't appreciate if you've decided they are your target audience, then it means you need to fashion your products in a way that they can actually relate to. And with that being said, you need to assess your progress. One of the very main things you can do to assess your progress is putting your work out there. Okay, so most of us are afraid of responses from people, but you need to acknowledge that it's a growth journey. It's a platform. Okay, and your path in this growth journey is distinct to who you are, and you have different starting points for each and every one. And so you would put your work out there. Let's say in a couple of years, some people put their works out there in a couple of years back, and currently they can compare the quality of their services to when they started. And that's actual progress. Okay. So know, you need to get a reference for your good. So without a reference, you would hardly make any progress at all. That's because you don't know what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. You have nothing to compare your your supposed progress to. Okay, so put your work out there. Find ways in which you can push your work in your defined areas. So every institution has a particular way of um, doing their publicity. So you have to work on that, know exactly how to do. You can't promote a song the same way you promote um, your cooking firms. They have different target population, so you have to know how to push your work out there in order to assess your progress. So your audience um, may start from your home. Um, it may be some of you may probably want to be singers, and your siblings have never heard you sing. You want to um lead, and you've never taken a role in some of these. social institutions that you find yourself in. Your target audience may be your work colleagues. They need to be aware of what you stand for. So you don't just exist in the space where no one knows what you're doing. Like you are just there in the space doing nothing, occupying the space. And that's a very terrible state to be in. So um, assess your progress by the targets you've achieved, even as you hold on to the not yet mindset. That's the growth mindset. You acknowledge your stance and know there's so much room for improvement, and you'd be good to go. So I think we've come to the end of this very short very short presentation. So thank you. So we'll be welcome. Probably Dr. Jonathan, would you have to come in at this point, or
Yeah, hello, good evening.
good evening?
Thank you so much for such a concise and insightful presentation. Yeah, I mean, if you are on the live, kindly send a clap, send something to say thank you. If you've learned something or two from the presentation you just did. I mean, hello, can we hear me? I can see Charles Obor,
Yeah.
Gloria, Ernestina Yamwa. I can see iPhone. Hi, iPhone. How are you? MK, Peter Jaku, Poma, Priscilla, Ransford, VA, and then yeah. Yes, I'm Akuaku, Deborah. I see you, Esther. Esther, hi. How are you doing? Richard, David, wherever you are, thank you so much for being a part of this. We shall have a brief session of um, questions. We'll take a few questions. You've been trying to challenge yourself in a particular way. You've had a particular idea, or you've noticed a gap in your life that you are trying to fill, and you've been working actively at it. That's for the first group. The second group is you don't even know how to start going about it. And the third group is that you've started, but you are not seeing top, right? Three different groups. Yeah. Whatever challenge is, kindly talk to us, your questions. Let them in the chat. If you want to unmute and then speak as well, you can go ahead. And sorry for not joining the meeting from the start. I was a little caught up somewhere. But in any case, we thank God for how far He has brought us. So you can type your question or ask to unmute so that we go ahead.
Well, the question can be a personal question to me, though. It's not just I mentioned you might find your answers in someone else's path. So
It seems no one has questions. It seems we are.
yeah, I think
But then I have a question for you.
okay.
In your personal path to discovering where you are now, to um how far you've come now. I'm playing, for those of you who don't know, Manuel is a musician and that's his song in the background. Before we go, all of you have to, those of you who haven't gone to watch it yet, you must go and then watch on YouTube,
Yes. Yes.
right? So if you have the link, Mano, kindly share it in the chat box. But
Yeah.
can you tell us something from your personal path to um discovering what you're supposed to do and how you grew in it? What was the sort of the aha moments for you, saying that this is what I've decided to do? And then what was the defining or redefining moment for you that is catapulting you to the next stages, right? Thank you.
Okay. So I think I would start by um saying, so one of the very key things you can consider when you want to know what exactly you want to do is um acknowledge the number of things that you think everybody should be doing. Okay, so things that come so easily to you that you don't understand why um people can't can't do that particular thing. It just doesn't make sense why it comes so easy to you, but then people find it easy difficult embarking on that same task. Okay, and so that's one of the most important things. And you also have to consider things that people usually point out to you. So like I said, in your path to your growth, you exude certain pointers that people look at, analyze, and then make their own conclusions on what you stand for. So probably you've been unknowingly um, showing people that this is what I stand for, but then you haven't given it enough attention. So you get a lot of people pointing out to you that, oh, I see, or probably are you this? They just see you and then they give you a clue. So these are clues from your environment. And for me, personally, I was, should I say, I was forced, kind of forced into certain areas. Um, I did some of
Tell us
these
about them.
things. Okay, so initially I used to sing, but then I never had it in mind to you know be a musician one day. It was never part of what I wanted to do. So it was these social institutions that led me into actually doing this singing bit. So there was a time, so I wanted to learn how to play an instrument. Okay, so that was a drum. So even though people used to point out to me, oh, why are you not singing and all that, but I still didn't find it interesting enough to pursue. So it was the drum sets that I wanted to learn, and I started. But then um, people always pushed me towards. I was always pushed to sing, even though I wasn't interested in that. I wasn't there to sing, but I was always pushed to do that. And time there was a time I went to sit. That was in church. I went to sit by the drums, and I was just called from the from the pulpit to come and lead worship. And this was something I had never done. Like, and for me, that moment was it was a very tense moment for me because it was something I never planned, I never envisioned I was going to do, but then I ended up in front of people. Something I dreaded so much, doing stuff in front of people. I never wanted to do that, and I did it anyway. Whatever mistakes I made and all those pitfalls, they they don't really count now. Okay. So people wouldn't really look at people really won't look at what I did probably 7 to 8 years ago, the kind of mistakes I made to judge me right now. You see, so hey, is that um I'm laughing to a comment on this. So that's why I mentioned in the presentation that find you need to find put your work out there. You need to go out there so that you can measure the progress that you're making. You can make reference to what you've already put out there, whether it makes sense or not, whether you've actually moved. And so I get this question a lot, like a lot. So they ask me how am I doing music and also practicing medicine at the same time, even though two two of them are very time consuming, very tiring. And um, I think the answer is just um, you knowing what you want to serve your target audience, you knowing what you want to stand for. So when you make this very plain, it means you don't back out when the challenges come. Because why can't you do both? I mean, why is it's very possible. So that's a great mindset. So even if you are not there yet, you still have um you still have this open-mindedness that you can make some progress. Okay. And so that's what I thrive on. I I don't see the reason why I shouldn't do both. I don't see why I shouldn't do both. Okay, so I just find ways to, like I said, stress is a requirement. You be tired. You feel like you just need to let go of some of these branches and then hold on to just the one so that you can have a space to rest. But um, defining your path and then the the platform, that's the group that you want to achieve. You just can't drop certain things. You need to keep going. So I think that's what keeps me. But I don't see the reason why I shouldn't be doing both. Yeah, so that was the simple explanation I can give to. Yeah, so that's my answer. Yeah, but Jonathan,
Yeah, thank you very much for
yeah.
that awesome answer. I believe someone has gotten something from that. I can see a question in the chat box, by the way.
Oh, okay. Do you believe God has a specific place in storage which one want us to be? If yes, do we constantly have to inquire the Lord where He would have us be? Or the moment and opportunities open before us, requiring we show for that which God has deposited in us for testimony? Okay, so you see, in the course of the presentation, I mentioned that most of our our progress, the progress that we've made now, um, was made independent of our efforts. Okay, so you had very little to do in, especially the young ones. You had very little to do with most of the progress that you've made, and that's to say, because God, God, that's the intelligent design, because He knows um where exactly you are supposed to fit. Things have been orchestrated to an extent, okay, to make sure that we are where we are we are exactly where we are supposed to be. But that doesn't mean you just um go switch off, sleep, and then hope that you will appear in the exact goals that you've set for yourself. Okay, so there are opportunities that would open to you that you are not supposed to take. Okay, so it starts from knowing your essence, like I mentioned. So let's say I am in the medical field, okay, and I would be hoping to get opportunities that would um further my career in that line. So the fact that God has placed me here doesn't mean um let's say okay, so when you take the medical field, there are vast number of opportunities. Okay, so depending on where I want to go, let's say I want to pursue surgery. Okay, and I get an opportunity to do um let's say family medicine. So those are two like very wide apart goals. Okay, so I would have to reconsider my goals, know if I would be fine with pursuing that thing for the rest of my life. Because your growth, like I said, it doesn't limit you. Okay, it gives you a platform to make sure that you know that you will be achieving a step with each task that you perform. So what that means is I would have to redefine my goals and then see if I still want to stick to this surgery path that I mentioned. Okay. So the fact that I'm in this line where God has placed me doesn't mean every opportunity is okay to be pursued. Okay. I think this my submission. Maybe Dr. Jonathan would add up.
Yeah, what can you know? Wow. So there's in any case there's a thing of timing and then our readiness. And I know most of us are Christians here. So like the Bible said about the sons of Issachar knowing what time to act so that they were able to instruct their brethren. There's always a thing of timing, but time and chance, the Bible says they happen to everyone. And to me personally, that's like the defining thing when it comes to who makes it or who doesn't make it. I'll explain why. One of the constants we all have in life is time, and we all have the time to prepare for our chance. So the value of what you do with your time is what gets you ready for the opportunities, for the chances that will come your way. If you misuse the time that you have, you won't be in season, you won't be ready for those opportunities that they will come. So yes, time and chance happens to us, but the value of your time is to prepare for the opportunity so that when it comes, you are ready for it. All right. And that doesn't mean also that when an opportunity comes and you're not ready, you shouldn't jump in. I am of the view that in any case, you should step out and go through the process. If you're waiting to grow to hit, you may never reach there. Compare people that you see today from 10, 20 years ago and how they were till then they are now. You see that there's something they started long ago and something they've refined with time. If you're waiting to get it all right before you start or you get going, you may never get there. And before you realize that your time and then your chance has also been wasted. So get ready, prepare with your time, but when the opportunity comes, hope on it. I thank you very much. There's someone here I know has a question. Glorious Gloria. I don't know you.
Oh, I joined late, so I don't really have questions. Yeah, I didn't really join it. Yeah, my network too wasn't favoring me. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
sad.
even good. So the things you didn't hear and then you want to ask about, please ask.
Honestly speaking, I don't know. I don't know. I just want to ask him if he's single.
Oh, yeah. Richard, I see you. Richard will go next, but hot seat. Manu.
But please, I want to know. The one who presented, is he single?
Minister.
Yes.
And I think
I hear
you'd
you,
have to
so
come for the answer backstage.
Okay. I mean, I was forced to ask a question. That's why.
okay. Okay, so you go backstage for your answer. And now she's the one.
Okay, I've heard you. Who?
The one speaking. You mind there's something, tell us so. Anyways, I've seen the hand up.
Ask them
Richard,
out a question.
yeah, kindly go on mute and ask your question.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. And thanks to Dr. Kwekwajman for the wonderful presentation. My question has to do with you surrounding yourself with the right people or aligning yourself with the right people in order to meet your goals or aspirations. I mean, we will all agree that the childhood friends or people we may have started in life, some of them are no more with us just because maybe they don't align with us in terms of our vision or where we want to go. So I don't know at what point do you leave that circle so that you wouldn't hurt those people, but in trying to find your own path. Because sometimes if you are not very careful, you may leave that circle who don't align with your vision and they will label you as whether a traitor, a true known, or whatever. So how do you leave that? You will now form a new clique of people who you believe that with them you can be able to achieve your aspirations. Thank you.
Okay, so I think I would start answering them, but I do would climax this. This is a very huge question. So what I would say is I think if I get you right, what you want to establish is how can you avoid hurting those you start with when you eventually realize you have to break away. Okay. So
Very well, that's
the
the
thing is,
question.
yes. So the thing is, you there would always be a level of hurt, a level of hurt. Okay. So there's no way you break away and then there wouldn't be any repercussions. But then what you can do is to limit the um, water it down. Yes, that's the word. So you water the kind of hate that you are going to distribute down, so that um you'd have a bit of a space to to bounce back to, so that you you don't completely break away. So sometimes breaking away doesn't mean you are just um turning your backs to those people. So sometimes, let's say you have a family and they've been around you all your life, and they notice you are going in a certain direction. You're choosing a particular path for yourself, or you are making an important life decision, and they advise you against that thing that you want to do. But then deep within you, you know that's the best step for your next phase of life. And you are torn between hurting your family and then going on with your decision, or sticking with your family so that you make no progress at all. So what you can do is you explain to, so in this case, you explain your vision to the family, make them understand it's not a waste of time. It's a very important aspect of your life that you have to fulfill. And with that being said, if they still do not get your stance, because um, unintentionally they think they are protecting you from making a devastating effect devastating move in your journey. So what you can do is try every means possible to make them understand before making that particular move that you want to make. Yeah, so I think that's my bits in that. So Dr. Joe, um,
Hey, Minister. Looks like you answered everything, Anna.
hey.
Um, but yeah, in addition to what you said, you should just be respectful about it.
Yes.
How you, the truth is that people don't want you to grow. People want you to stay at their level, or better still, they will be better than you. That's the natural order. People don't hate to see you advance past them. Every one of us, that's how we are. Okay. And so if it happens that you are beginning to change so fast, you are growing or advancing so fast, people get irritated, people get hurt. It happens. And how many of you know Adam Smith, sorry? Anyone who's heard of Adam Smith? Right, to save time, there's a book, The Wealth of Nations. Some of you might have seen it. And he describes about 3 principles that governs how nations become wealthy. Okay. And he said the first principle was that for someone to become rich, the person starts by having selfish interest or self-interest. And for all of us to grow and to advance, at times you need to put yourself first. Human beings, the reason why you are here, if we are to ask very honestly, is because of a certain interest, self-interest that you have. Do you understand? So yes, when you begin to grow, people would fall off, people will be hurt, but then you should be respectful to them. Right, thank you. All right. All too soon. I've seen one more. Okay, so iPhone, can you tell us your name and then where you are joining us from?
Yeah, so iPhone actually has a question, but um let's see.
Yeah, I don't want to address him as iPhone. So you can just type your name. But I'll read the question anyway. Since I'm in school now, first year, and I just started with an egg business which needs a little more attention to grow. I figured it out. I figured it out before it happened. And then my course is a bit demanding. So how do I manage the two? Since I want to do one of the two. Doc will help us answer this. But we'll talk backstage, Modesta.
So which course are you reading now? Can you just like okay. So you'd have to um like you're saying it needs a little more attention to grow. So you would have to make sacrifices. Okay. There are no two ways about this. So you need to make a lot of sacrifices. Okay. So most of your rest periods you would have to compromise a bit on that because so right now what I'm seeing is you you want to find the best way to rest and then achieve the best in both in two of these endeavors that you have. But then if you're here from the start of the presentation, you'd realize that you would have to sacrifice most of your rest periods because it's very stressful. Okay, so you can't just approach this in the light of you having to give um more attention to the course you are reading now, and then giving less time to the business that you have started, even though you want to maximize your productivity in that sector. So, like I said, you need to measure um the kind of the kind of growth you want to achieve. So it's fine if you are doing, let's say, 15 crates a week or 15 crates a month. It's fine. Okay, so you don't need to sell a bus full of eggs in a week before you know you are actually advancing. So you need to assess your progress. You need to know this is your current state. And small jumps in your progress is equally accepted. Yeah, so I think that's my take on that. Yeah, Dr. Joe.
Yeah, okay, sure. I think we are good. And I want to thank Dr. Manuel so much for the time he's made for us, firstly, and then to all of us, especially iPhone, for joining us today. Someone is asking, what's the IPPreneur about? I'm going to end with this to introduce you to something so we can end. So IPPreneur is based on this book, Identity, Purpose, and Process. You can see the first letters, IPP. And what all we are talking about is your identity, your purpose, and your process. How to discover yourself, to grow in the person that you've discovered, and then maximize that for maximum productivity. That's the course or the agenda we've been on for the last few weeks. And it's a joy to have you join. Currently, the book is available on Amazon. You can also have it on seller.com. So I'll share the links for those of you who want the soft copy. But if you need the hard copy, you would need to contact me directly with your name and your location, and then I'll get it to you promptly. So I'm going to put the links in the chat.
So, Doc, I just want to give a short word of gratitude to
Okay.
all those who joined. I mean, I'm seeing I'm seeing my relatives. I mean, my bloodline relatives. I mean, I'm seeing quite a number of them, and thank you so much for believing in me. And I think this so having your relatives join in such meetings, support you in such some of these um on some of these journeys is something you can't take for granted. Okay. So I thank you so much. And for all my friends and thank you for joining. And I really hope you will have something to work on so that you can actually improve in this growth journey of yours. So thank you and God bless you.
All right, so the links have been shared, and finally, before we go, someone is asking about the recording. So it's live on YouTube too. So if you need the recording, let me see if I can drop the link here too. All right, so I have the YouTube link. I'll drop it in the chat now. All right, so YouTube link, the link to Amazon to seller, and then my WhatsApp line if you have any further questions. But I want to talk to us about this Sprout, which is coming off next month. It's a 3-week mentorship program. We are going into the subject of leadership and then personal effectiveness based on the book Identity, Purpose, and Process. If you've read the book and then you want step-by-step process, it is going to be interactive. It's going to be we are going to be trying to be as vulnerable as we can to share and open up about our own lives. And you are going to have a supportive community to share in your growth. I'm preparing a dashboard and a workbook that we can work on, a dashboard where you can draw and craft your plan for the year and other things, your business or any other thing. And then a workbook that is based on this book, Identity, Purpose, and Process, that we can work through the workshop. So it's from the 9th of March to the 30th of March. It's called Sprouts. How you grow, how you spring forth, how you take off. And you can register by scanning the code here. There's a link also that you can use to register. Some people are scared by the price there, but don't be scared. Just register. We'll take care of the rest. Okay. Even if you don't have the money, register. We'll take care of the rest. Right. So thank you so much for joining. I want to thank Emil for stepping up to start the meeting. I want to thank Dr. Amwa for also stepping in. And to everyone else here, it is Dr. Jonathan, and more especially to Manuel. I can't thank you enough. Even though I was hiding somewhere, I was busy somewhere, you still showed up and then took care of everything. So God bless you. And guys, please, Dr. Manuel's song. Manuel, please drop the link, share the link, share the link, share the link. Please, before you
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you can search for my name on YouTube, Dr. Ajiman Badu, no spaces. So I think that makes it easier. So Dr. Ajiman Badu, DR, then Ajiman Badu. Let me just type it in here so that.
All right. So we'll end with a prayer. But let's pray for us. Pray with us. Where's iPhone? Don't type it, please. Unmute and talk. Modesta is not here. All right, so Father, we thank you for the meeting and the session we just had. We pray, oh God, that you continue to inspire this work in us, that will expand and grow to the ends of the world. Father, your word says, creation awaits the manifestations of the sons of God. We pray that you push us to manifest, knowing that we are not just manifesting to the people in our communities or the people in Ghana, but we are manifesting to all of creation. We thank you, Lord, exalt your word and exalt us in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you and have a good night. See you at Sprout. Bye.
Bye bye.